start working on today's lesson. Okay, so we're looking at 3 possible sweeps from dealing with a standing opponent. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little drill to help kind of prime the person that's going to be on top, because we're going to be doing a lot of stand-up, okay, with somebody's guard. Okay, so if you're not understanding the technique correctly, you're going to put a lot more labor involved in your legs and your lower back. So we want to make this stand-up as easy as possible. Okay, because we're going to be doing a lot of standing up today, because it's going to be involved in the sweep, okay? So first we're going to do is we're going to find a partner, we're going to do a basic stand-up drill, okay? So if I got John here and I'm in John's guard, okay? How can I stand up in John's guard effectively and the most efficient, okay? So the biggest thing we're doing now, because I'm in John's guard, I have to bear his weight as I stand up too, okay? So the less weight that I put on John, the harder it's going to be for me to stand up. Okay, if I just go from here without putting any weight on John, and I step up with one leg and I step up with the other, okay? I can do it, but it's a lot more labor, okay? And I was a lot off balanced when I was doing it. It wasn't very smooth and effortless, okay? So what I want to do is I want to put my hands on John, okay? I want to put my weight on him. So normally I put my hands on him, it could be in a couple different configurations. I can put my palms on his chest. I can go thumb up into the armpits. I can put my hands on his ribs. Okay, there's a lot of different places you can have your hands. Maybe I can grab his wrists, which is a really good way to do it. Okay, but however we do that, the point is to try to put some weight on John to take some weight off of my hips. Okay, so however I do it, hands on the ribs is fine. Okay, we can all do it just like that. Hands on the ribs. Now what I want to do is I want to lift my hips away from my feet like this. Okay, now it's making my hips a lot lighter. It's easier for me to stand up. So here's how I like to do it. I want to put my feet and my toes onto the ground. Okay, after I drive my hips forward, then I'm going to extend my hamstrings and then walk my feet up, nice and tight to his legs, okay? Be careful when you stand up. I don't want to stand up too wide. I got all this space here for John to be able to move his hips around and start swinging for attacks and sweeps, okay? So when I do stand up, I want to stand up relatively I want to think about confining his hips with my knees. So I'm here, hips come forward, toes into the ground, walk my hips up, and you see how I got my knees just outside of his hips? Okay, that's what I want. And then I go back down. Okay, you see how it seems very easy and effortless because I'm putting weight on him. And then I posture. Okay? That's going to be the position that we're going to be working all of our sweeps from. So we stand up, and then we posture. Very important, John keeps his guard closed. Okay, he wants to dictate when his guard opens up. Okay? So that's it. Person on bottom, just develop that curling your toes back and locking in your guard, and it's gonna you're gonna feel it in the shin muscle. I'm not sure what it's called, but right here. Okay, and then back down, nice and smooth, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's grab a partner. Just do 5, twice. Right? Okay, so now we're looking at a possible sweep opportunity. Okay, when John goes to stand up, I have to time his posture. Okay, at the apex of his posture is where I want to go. Okay, if I let him hang out in that tall posture position, he's going to be able to either push down on my knees and open my guard, or maybe deliver a really, really heavy punch, because he's got all that energy that he can create and come down with a lot of force with a punch or an elbow or whatever. Okay, so we have to time it the right way. When he starts to come up and he commits to his posture, we're going to go and hit a very simple sweep. Okay, this one's called the double ankle sweep, or some people call it the reel sweep, like a fishing reel. Okay, so imagine the fishing reel, the pole, how it's kind of shaped and curved. Okay, that's going to be sort of the orientation of our feet. Okay, so but double ankle sweep, it also helps you understand the move. Okay, so I have John in my guard. Okay, again, we can have him maybe a broken down posture in phase 1. He puts his hands on my chest. He starts to stand up. Right, and posture away. Maybe he wants to give me a big punch. Maybe he's just exactly. Okay, so come back down. So at that apex where I feel him committing to that posture, I need to go. Okay, so when I feel him start to commit, what's going to happen is I'm going to hook the back of his ankles with my hands. Okay, just a meat hook. Okay, don't worry about grabbing the ankle or grabbing a gi pant if it's there. Just hooking the back of his Achilles tendon. Okay, so he goes. He stands up. Okay, he postures. I go 1, okay? Now I need to drop my hips just enough so that I can bring my knees together. You see, a very, very little amount. I don't drop my hips. If I drop my hips too low, it's very easy for him to bring his hips forward, past my guard, and now I'm smashed, okay? So if he comes back down here, okay? So as he stands up, when I feel the apex of the stand up, I go 1, 2, okay? Now, because I have my knees together, they're an extension of my hips. but I have to keep my knees closed. Okay? What happens a lot of times is from here, people will drive their hips up into the person, and then they open up their knees. They do this. See how it doesn't affect John at all? Okay? Because now my knees go open. There's all this space between his hips and mine. Okay? So the idea is to keep my knees closed. Now when I lift my hips off the ground, my knees can follow that same motion, and they're going to drive into them. So it's a really simple motion. My hips kind of go up, and then I'm pushing them forward at the same time. Perfect. Okay? We're usually going to end up in this kind of a position. Okay? If John ends up flat on his back, awesome. It's going to be a lot harder for him to sit up. Okay? If that's the case, I can pick whatever side I want to and start my get up to come up on top of the mount. Okay? But normally when you sweep somebody, they don't necessarily just want to fall flat on their back. Okay? They see it coming, they want to get to one side so that they can maybe scramble and come up on top and avoid the sweep. Okay? And prevent it. Okay? So if that does happen, you have to feel his energy, and you have to go to the side that he goes to, because he's usually going to dictate which side he falls. Okay? So he stands up again. I go here, and then I bump. Yeah, exactly. John wants to get to a side because, like, maybe he can create a scramble and come back on my top. Yeah, like, exactly. Maybe, and then maybe that works, and maybe he effectively stopped the sweep from happening. Okay? So I have to feel that side that he's falling to, and then I want to try to immediately get to my hand of that same side. Okay, so basically what we're doing is technical stand-up, okay, but instead of technical stand-up going backwards, we're going to try to come up on top and go right to the mount. Okay? So that's the first half of it, it's just the bump. Okay, so he stands up, and I'm holding him here, he postures, boom, right here. Okay, so hand, and then if I can't put my foot on the ground, it's okay, it's touching his hip, and that's connected to the ground. So don't worry about getting this foot on the ground. All I care about is some kind of connection here, and then the opposite hand. Now I can lift my hip off the ground. You see here? Whoever has the higher hips in this position is probably going to win the battle of who goes up on top. Okay, I have a benefit to me is that my legs are over top of his hips. So it's going to be a lot harder for him to come up, but he can still do it. Okay, so once I get here, I lift the hips off the ground, and I want to drive my hips forward. You see how I'm leading with my hips? Okay, I don't want to get here and then bring my head forward. It's going to be very easy for John to push my chest and beat that. Exactly. But if I bring my hips forward, he tries to push, right? It's very easy for me to continue to drive myself to the mount position. This hand here can anchor. Usually you can grab the gi if you're holding the gi, right? If it's in the gi, you can grab the collar, or you can grab the back of the neck if it's no gi. And all I'm doing is just driving my way back up into the mount position. And now we're here. Okay, so he was on top in my guard. Very simple sweep, and now I ended up on top in the mount. So it's like best case scenario. So again, he's here. Maybe I got him broken down. He stands up. Boom. Right here. Oh, look at that. What happened? Oh, my legs came off. No big deal. Step out, and now I'm passing here. Okay? I'm just trying to create a sweep. If I end up in the mount, awesome. If not, as long as I end up on top, I'm happy. Okay? Up. 1, 2, boom. Right here. Anchor on the back of his head if I want to. You don't have to, but it's good. And then I drive my knee down to the floor, and now I'm in a good mount position. Okay? Questions? Let's give it a shot. Okay, time. All right, good. All right, so let's bring it in. So that's good. Okay? So there's an opportunity for the person to defend that double ankle sweep, okay? And it's a very easy way to defend it if you time it correctly, okay? And all I gotta do is pretty much just kick my leg and step back, okay? So it's a very simple sweep or defense of the sweep to learn, okay? But it creates a follow-up opportunity. So let's say John's trying to sweep me. When I feel the timing, I'm gonna like kick my leg up and over his ankle, okay? So I'll do it here. So I stand up, he kicks, go. You see? All I did was step that leg out, okay? But I'm not, just grab the ankle, don't do it. I'm not just pulling my leg backwards, you see, because it's running into his fingers. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing my foot up and then around, okay? So I'm basically bypassing his wrist and coming over the top, okay? And that can happen as the sweep commences, okay? And it's a very simple defense to that sweep, okay? So we have to have a follow-up option. So again, watch it again. Watch what I do with my feet. So I'm here, I stand up, John goes to sweep, I step the leg back. Okay? So John can continue to try to, fight and try to battle and find it again and do the sweep, okay? But he has another option from there. Okay, so let's switch. So however it happened, the double ankle sweep didn't work. He defended it correctly. Maybe he stood up and he already stepped the leg back. Boom, perfect. Okay, now I'm here. Okay, now I keep this ankle. It's mine, I want to keep it, okay? If I wanted the other ankle, kept it, the double ankle sweep would have worked. But I didn't, but I can keep at least one. So watch, I go feet to the hips. Okay, from here we can hang out in this position too. This is good for up kicks, okay? This is a really good position. I can just keep him away at distance so he can't punch me, okay? But from here, it's a very simple sweep. So I keep the ankle, same side as the ankle, stays on the hip, nice and flat. Other foot is gonna reach under, and I'm gonna hook the back of his knee, okay? Not the ankle, not up here on the thigh, or on the hamstring, excuse me. I wanna find that knee joint right there. Very easy, okay? So, the ankle and the knee, I'm pulling. So these two, right hand and left foot, I'm pulling this way. And my right leg is kicking straight back, okay? Very simple, here we go. Comes down to the floor, okay? From here, be careful coming up into him because sometimes you can fall right into a triangle trap, okay? So when I sweep, with the tripod sweep, just do it right from here. Boom, boom, right here, right? When I sweep with here, boom. I usually like to, you can put your hands on the ground, you can keep the ankle, but I actually like to step back a little bit, and then I can approach how I want to pass the guard from there. Okay, if it's self-defense, I sweep him, I can use that stand-up to go, if I want to, okay? That's the best way to do it after the sweep. It's not necessarily always going to be a good idea to come right into him. It might work out in your favor, maybe you end up in his guard, okay? But really bad is you end up in a triangle, which happens quite a bit. So he stands up, I go for the double ankle sweep, he steps his leg back. Feet to the hips, find the back of the knee, opposite of the ankle control, okay? Foot on the hip is kicking straight back, and then I'm pulling with this, right? Keeping my hook strong and pulling with the ankle, okay? Don't worry too much about like pulling the ankle super hard. These two things are more or less keeping him in position, all right? I just don't want him to be able to step back, okay? But you can create a little bit of backwards pull. But the big thing is just making sure that his 2 feet stay stationary, and then I'm driving into his hip. That's what's gonna happen. And then I come back, you know, maybe control the ankle so he doesn't kick me in the face, and then I can pass or turn around and run, whatever the situation calls for. Okay, so one more time, this is the tripod sweep. Okay, so there's 3 points of contact, tripod sweep, easy. Okay, he's here, he stands up, I go for the ankle, he steps back, boom, boom, here. And then I can back out or do whatever I have to do. Okay? Questions? All right, okay, time. All right, cool. All right, so this third and final one, okay, this is going to be a little bit trickier, okay? So don't beat yourself up, okay? It'll come, okay? This one is really all about the backward roll. Okay? So if you're having trouble with the backward roll, don't beat yourself up if this one doesn't come to you perfectly like these other two, okay? These are very simple. There's no real skill level with those two, okay? Very, very simple. With this one, a little bit trickier, okay? So watch it, try it, and then hopefully attempt it a few more times, and eventually once you get it, it becomes like really natural and a really good option, okay? So this is called the TOMOE roll, okay? So this is basically taking somebody, you know, heels overhead, okay? So we're flipping them backwards, okay? So this scenario, if I'm in John's guard, I stand up and I don't get posture, okay? So I just stand up, okay? And I just stay over top of him like this, okay? Remember what we did in this position where we attacked the arm bar? Okay, so you still have the option of attacking an arm bar for sure. Okay, but this is the scenario. So I'm standing up, but I didn't gain posture yet. Okay, maybe I'm choking in and just pinning to the ground, waiting for a punch. Okay, so this is the scenario. Okay, top person, don't freak out. Okay, you're gonna be lifted up off the ground. Okay, you're gonna be like you know how kids used to play with his dad, put the feet on the stomach and airplane kind of thing. Okay, this is kind of the idea, okay? So person on top, be nice and relaxed, okay? Tuck your chin and roll with it, okay? If you stick your head up high, you know, you're gonna face plant, no good. Tuck the chin and roll with it, okay? So here we go. He stands up, but he doesn't get posture. Keep the hands on. I wanna connect, I wanna hold his elbows so that he can't use his hands if he wants to. Okay? Now what I want to try to do is I want to try to get both feet to his hips. So I drop my hips, I go 1, 2. Okay? Perfect. I want to make sure that my heels are underneath my hips. If he backs up a little bit, you see how my heels are in front of my hips? Okay? Now if I try to lift him up off the ground, it's probably going to just push him farther away. Okay? If it does happen that he's in this position here, I want to use his elbows and I want to flare them out and I want to pull him back over top of me. Watch. See how I loaded him up? Now my heels are underneath my hips, and now I can lift up John very easily. Okay? It's like a not a squat, but a leg press machine, right? You'd be surprised at how much weight you can lift up off the ground when your back is secured to the floor. Okay, so you'd be surprised how heavy the person can be, and you can still lift them with ease. Okay, but the idea is to get my heels underneath my hips, so I can use like I said, the elbows, and I can pull him and then lift and load. Okay. Now from here, I want to close his elbows. I want to look over the shoulder, whatever shoulder I decide to go. All right, and I'm going to just do a backward roll. I'm going to end up on top in a nice mount position, okay? Maybe you don't end up in a perfect mount, okay? Maybe you end up with like 1 foot on the ground, 1 knee on the ground. Maybe you end up in a weird like half guard kind of position, okay? What you want to avoid is when you get to that lift position, right? When I'm here, when I'm lifting, I want to avoid going to the side, okay? Because now we are both on our side. Now it's like a 50-50. Who's going to come on top? Right? Who's ever a better scrambler is going to come on top. But when I do a backward roll, I put him on his back and I put myself on my knees. There's a very, very unlikely chance he's going to be able to out-scramble that and come up on top. Okay? So let's try it again. So it's just very simple. All I'm doing is a backward roll. I'm using a little bit of John's momentum to help take me in that direction. 1, 2. Perfect. I'm already in position, so I don't even need to open up the elbows. He's already right over top of me. So now I lift, close the elbows, and roll. Right? I ended up in like a different type of mount position. Or like just my feet are on the ground, my knees are on his chest. Doesn't matter. Okay, I'm on top. Okay. See how John just tucked his chin, nice and lightly, and just rolled over. You can add some kind of like, I can add a little bit of like dynamic force to it and really kick him over. All right, but we don't need to right now. We're starting off nice and smooth. Okay, so this is anytime somebody's over top of us and their hips and head are more or less in the same, line. Okay? If John were to posture up, his head is higher than his hips. It doesn't make sense for me to take him that way. It makes sense for me to sweep him with the double ankle sweep or the tripod sweep. Okay, but his posture is broken. He's holding me down like for whatever reason. Feet go to the hips. Perfect. I'm in the right spot. I'm in a nice solid mount position. Okay? But all it is a backward roll. Okay? Questions? Again, don't go crazy if it's not coming to you perfectly. Just keep trying, and eventually we'll get it. Okay? Let's give it a shot.